the dragon everyone feared. The space station called K-17 was supposed to be empty. That was what the report said. But every rescue team that came close turned back before docking. Not because of damage, not because of radiation. They turned back because of one word that spread faster than any alarm. Dragon. The station floated near the edge of known space, broken and silent. Lights flickered like dying stars. Long claw marks cut through the metal walls, deep and burnt. Anyone who saw them knew one thing. Something powerful had lived here. Inside the station, in a wide cargo hall, the dragon family waited. The mother dragon lay on the floor, her massive body still and wounded. One of her wings was torn, burned black at the edge. Her breathing was slow, heavy, painful. Each breath filled the hall with heat. Beside her sat a small dragon child. He was no bigger than a ground vehicle. His scales were dull, not yet strong. His eyes were wide and bright, full of fear. He stayed close to his mother, pressing against her side, listening to every sound. The father dragon was gone. No one knew where he was. Dead, missing, or fighting somewhere in the dark. The child did not know. He only knew one thing. Everyone left. Hours earlier, alien voices had filled the station. Scanners. Weapons charging. Orders shouted. Hope had arrived. Then someone said, "It's a dragon family." The voices stopped. Ships pulled away. Docking clamps released. Engines flared. The child watched from behind broken crates as ships disappeared into space. No one came back. Outside the station, a fleet waited at a safe distance. Dozens of ships from different species. Soldiers, commanders, scientists, all staring at the same screen. The image showed the dragon mother. "Too dangerous," one commander said. "They are living weapons," another replied. "If it wakes up, we lose everything." No one argued. They all took a step back, some in fear, some in relief. All except one. On a small human transport ship, a single human stood up from his seat. His name was Ethan Cole. He was not a hero, not famous, just a former soldier who had seen too many worlds burn. He looked at the screen and did not see a monster. He saw a mother who could not move. He saw a child who had been left alone. "They won't attack if we don't threaten them," Ethan said calmly. The room went silent. A tall alien officer turned toward him. "You don't understand dragons." "I understand fear," Ethan replied. "And I understand what happens when everyone walks away." The officer shook his head. "You go near them, you die." Ethan picked up his helmet. "Then that's my choice." Minutes later, one small ship broke away from the fleet. Gasps filled the command room. "Who authorized that?" someone shouted. "No one," the officer whispered. The human ship moved alone toward K-17. Inside the station, the dragon child heard a sound. Not weapons. Not alarms. Footsteps. He froze. The mother dragon's eye opened slightly. Fire flickered behind it. Her body tensed, ready to fight even in pain. The air grew hot. The docking door hissed open. A human stepped inside. He was small compared to them. Soft. Weak. No scales. No claws. No fire. He did not raise a weapon. He did not shout. He slowly walked forward, boots echoing against metal. Every step was careful, calm. His heart was racing, but his face showed none of it. The dragon mother lifted her head. Her mouth opened. Flames gathered in her throat. Outside, the fleet watched in horror. "He's dead," someone said. The dragon child squeezed his eyes shut. The human stopped. Then he did something no one expected. He removed his helmet. He placed it on the floor, and he lowered himself to one knee. "I'm not here to hurt you," Ethan said softly. The words echoed through the hall. The flames did not release, but they did not grow either. The dragon mother stared into the human's eyes. She searched for fear, for lies, for hunger. She found none, only exhaustion, only honesty. The dragon child slowly opened his eyes. The human was still there, not running, not screaming, just waiting. For the first time since the station fell silent, the dragon child felt something strange. Not safety, but hope. And somewhere in the dark of space, something ancient shifted, as the galaxy held its breath. When the dragon did not breathe fire, no one spoke. Not on the space station, not on the ships watching from far away. The galaxy waited. The dragon mother's mouth was still open. Fire moved inside her throat like a living thing, ready to escape. The heat bent the air. Metal groaned softly around her. The human did not move. Ethan Cole stayed on one knee, his helmet resting on the floor. His hands were empty. His eyes were steady, but his heart was loud inside his chest. One wrong breath could end him. The dragon child watched from behind the broken crates. He had seen this before. Creatures came close. They shouted. They raised weapons. Then fire came. Then silence. But this human was different. He did not smell like fear. The dragon mother felt it too. She had faced armies, machines, beasts from dying stars. Fear always came first. Loud, sharp, easy to taste. This human's fear was quiet, controlled, chosen. Her fire faded. Just a little. Outside the station, alarms started screaming. She's powering down, a scientist said, confused. No, another replied. She's deciding. That was worse. Inside, Ethan slowly raised his head. He did not stand. Standing could look like a challenge. He stayed low. I know you were hurt, he said gently. I know you were left. His voice echoed through the hall, small but clear. The dragon mother's eye narrowed. Left. That word mattered. The dragon child stepped forward by accident. A small claw scraped against the floor. The sound was tiny, but it was enough. The dragon mother turned her head fast. Ethan saw the child for the first time. Small, thin, scales dull, wings not strong yet. A child. Something twisted in Ethan's chest. Slowly, very slowly, he moved his hand. He did not reach toward the dragon. He reached into his pocket. On the fleet ships, weapons charged. He's dead, someone whispered again. Ethan pulled out a small metal bar. Emergency ration. Food. He placed it on the floor and slid forward. I brought food, he said. For the little one. The dragon mother froze. No one had done that before. They brought bombs. Chains. Orders. Never food. The dragon child stared at the bar. It smelled strange. Not meat. Not metal. But not poison. He looked at his mother. She did not stop him. That was enough. The child stepped forward, each step slow and unsure. He sniffed the bar, then nudged it with his nose. Nothing happened. He took a small bite. His eyes widened. Warmth spread through him. Not just in his body, but somewhere deeper. He ate faster. Ethan smiled before he could stop himself. The dragon mother saw that smile. It was not pride, not victory, not fear. It was relief. Something ancient stirred in her memory. Long ago, before the galaxy burned, humans had been different from the others. Fragile, short-lived, but they had stood, always stood. The station shook suddenly. A loud explosion echoed through the metal halls. The dragon mother roared. Weapons fire. Outside, the fleet commander slammed his fist on the console. Fire, a warning shot. Now, a beam had struck the station's outer hull. Not a kill shot. A message. Inside, alarm screamed. Panels sparked. Dust fell from the ceiling. The dragon child cried out and ran back to his mother. Ethan stood up instantly and moved between the dragons and the door. No, he shouted into his comm. You'll scare them. Another blast hit. Closer. The dragon mother rose to her full height despite her injury. Fire exploded from her mouth, slamming into the ceiling and melting steel. The station trembled. Stand down. Ethan yelled. You're making it worse. The commander's voice came cold and sharp. Move away, human. This is your last warning. Ethan did not move. He spread his arms wide. If you fire again, he said, you hit me first. The command room went silent. No one had planned for this. A single human standing between the galaxy and a dragon family. The dragon mother looked down at him. So small, so breakable, yet unmoving. She lowered her head slowly, until her massive eye was level with him. Fire burned inside her gaze. And still, she did not attack. Instead, she did something no dragon had done in centuries. She folded her wing and placed it slightly in front of the human, protecting him. Across the fleet, sensors spiked. What does that mean? Someone whispered. Far away, in deep space, a damaged signal finally reached the station. An ancient dragon code. One message. The father was coming, and the galaxy was about to regret taking a step back. The truth the galaxy buried. The fleet did not fire again. Not because they trusted the dragons, but because something impossible was happening. Sensors across every ship showed the same thing. The Dragon Mother was not charging an attack. Her energy levels were dropping. Her flames were cooling. She was protecting the human. Inside the command ship, silence felt heavier than noise. "This is wrong," a senior officer whispered. "Dragons don't protect outsiders." The fleet commander clenched his jaw. "Prepare containment weapons. If the second dragon arrives, we end this fast." No one liked that order, but no one stopped it. Inside the broken station, Ethan stood frozen. The massive wing in front of him was scarred and burned, yet it did not move. The Dragon Mother had placed herself between him and the fleet. He understood the message. "You are under my protection." The dragon child pressed against his mother's side, peeking at the human from behind her scales. The child's fear had not vanished, but it had changed. This human had not run, had not lied, had not raised a weapon. Ethan slowly lowered his arms. "I won't leave," he said softly, though no one had asked him to. "Not unless you want me to." The Dragon Mother's I stayed on him. Then, slowly, painfully, she lowered her head and rested it against the floor. A sign of exhaustion, a sign of trust. Outside, alarms flared again. A new signal appeared on every screen. Large, ancient, fast. The second dragon was close. "He's coming in hot," a technician said. "Hull damage. Heavy damage." The commander's face hardened. "That's our window. Fire before he docks." Inside the station, the Dragon Mother felt it. Her body tensed. Her tail slammed against the floor. The dragon child cried out again. Ethan's comm crackled. "Human," the commander said, voice sharp. "Step away. This is your final order." Ethan closed his eyes for 1 second. Then he turned his comm off. Outside, orders did not matter anymore. The station shook violently as a massive shape slammed into the docking bay. Metal screamed. The walls bent inward. A roar thundered through the station. Not rage. Pain. The father dragon crawled into the hall, his scales cracked and bleeding. One wing hung useless. His chest was burned deep, glowing faintly with heat from internal damage. He had crossed half the sector wounded. He saw his mate. Alive. He saw his child. Alive. Then he saw the human. His eyes burned. The temperature spiked instantly. The Dragon Mother rose between them, roaring loud enough to shake stars. She slammed her tail against the floor, stopping him. The father dragon froze. She turned her head and spoke, not in words but in memory. Images flashed between them. The human kneeling, the food, the protection, the warning shots. The father dragon's fire dimmed. Slowly, painfully, he lowered his head. Outside, the fleet commander panicked. "Fire now," he shouted, "before they unite." Weapons charged. Ethan saw the glow through the cracks in the station wall. He moved. Fast. He stepped forward, standing between the two dragons and the direction of the fleet. The Dragon Mother roared in protest. The father dragon growled low. Ethan shouted, not to threaten, but to be heard. "If you fire," he said into the open channel, "you don't kill monsters. You create them." The commander hesitated. Just for a second. That second was enough. The dragon father straightened his broken body and did something no dragon had done since the first wars. He bowed. Not fully. Just enough. A warrior's bow. To a human. Gasps filled every ship. That's impossible," a scientist whispered. Dragon culture was ancient. Pride was law. Dragons bowed only to equals, or those who had earned death beside them. The commander's voice cracked. What does that mean?" The answer came from the Dragon Mother. She lifted her head and released a low, powerful sound that echoed across all frequencies. Translators struggled, then locked. A single message filled every screen. "He stood when you fled." The fleet fell silent. Weapons powered down one by one. The truth, buried for centuries, was clawing its way back into the light. Long ago, dragons had not been enemies of the galaxy. They had been guardians. And humans. Humans had once stood beside them. Ethan felt the weight of countless eyes on him. He was just one man. But for the first time, the galaxy felt small. And afraid. Because it realized something too late. When everyone stepped back, The human had stepped forward, and history was waking up. The human they chose to break. The silence did not last. It never does. Across the fleet, fear turned into anger. Screens filled with warnings, red lights flashing as commanders argued. The galaxy did not like being proven wrong, and it hated being embarrassed. The fleet commander straightened and spoke with cold authority. "Human Ethan Cole," he said, his voice broadcast across all channels, "you have violated direct orders, endangered the fleet, and formed an unauthorized alliance with hostile entities." Ethan stood still. The dragons moved. The mother dragon shifted her wounded wing closer to him. The father dragon growled low, deep in his chest. "By authority of the Galactic Council," the commander continued, "you are hereby declared a traitor to the galaxy." The word hit harder than any weapon. Traitor. On nearby ships, some officers looked away. Others nodded, relieved. A single human was easier to blame than a broken truth. Ethan finally spoke. "If protecting a child makes me a traitor," he said calmly, "then I accept it." The commander's eyes burned. "You will step away from the dragons and surrender." Ethan did not move. Behind him, the dragon child pressed closer, small claws gripping the floor. He did not understand politics. He understood danger. The father dragon stepped forward, his massive body blocking the human from the fleet's view. Weapons locked on instantly. "Stand down," the commander shouted. The dragon mother roared in warning. Ethan raised one hand, not to attack but to stop them. "Don't," he said softly to the dragons. "Not yet." That confused everyone. Even the dragons paused. Ethan turned to face the fleet again. "You're afraid," he said. "Not of them. Of the truth." No one replied. "You used dragons in your wars," Ethan continued. "Then you erased their history. You call them monsters so you wouldn't have to remember what you did." The command room erupted. "That's a lot." Cut his channel. But the signal stayed open. The dragon father lifted his head and released a deep sound. Not a roar. A call. Data surged across space. Ancient dragon records unlocked. Battle footage. Treaties. Broken promises. Screens across the fleet filled with images no one was meant to see. Dragons standing beside alien armies. Dragons shielding cities with their own bodies. Dragons being ordered forward, then abandoned. Silence returned. Heavy. Crushing. The commander swallowed. "This changes nothing," he said, but his voice lacked strength. "Dragons are still a threat." Ethan laughed softly. "You're aiming planet killers at a wounded family," he said. "If that's not fear, what is?" The commander's face hardened. "Enough," he snapped. "Prepare extraction team. Take the human by force." Dropships launched. Inside the station, the dragon mother hissed, flames licking the air. The father dragon spread his damaged wings as much as he could. Ethan turned to them. "This is where I stand," he said. "With you." The dragon child looked up at him, eyes wide. He reached out and touched Ethan's boot. A small gesture, but it broke something inside the watching fleet. Some pilots hesitated. Some weapon systems lagged. Not all orders were followed. The dropships entered the station. Armed soldiers poured out, weapons raised, fear sharp on their faces. "Human Ethan Cole," the lead soldier shouted, "get on your knees." Ethan slowly knelt, not in surrender, in choice. He placed himself fully between the soldiers and the dragons. "If you want them," he said, "you go through me." The dragon father roared, furious. The mother dragon pressed her head close to Ethan's back, shielding him with her body. Soldiers froze. No one fired, because for the first time, they saw it clearly. The dragons were not protecting themselves. They were protecting the human. A junior officer whispered, "Sir, they're guarding him." The commander stared at the screen, hands shaking. This was never the plan. Dragons were supposed to be weapons. Humans were supposed to obey. The commander made his decision. "If we cannot control them," he said quietly, "we erase the station." A new weapon powered up. A forbidden one. A beam meant to wipe everything clean. Inside the station, alarms screamed louder than ever. Ethan looked up at the dragons. "I'm sorry," he said. The dragon mother lowered her head and touched his shoulder gently with her snout. "A promise." The dragon father lifted his head and roared, not in rage, but in challenge. Across space, the weapon reached full charge, and the galaxy crossed a line it could never undo. The moment the human chose to stay, the weapon was ready. Across the fleet, energy surged into a single point of light. The beam was silent, calm, and terrifying. It was not made to scare. It was made to erase. Inside the station, alarms screamed until they broke into static. Red lights flashed across metal walls, already cracked and burned. Ethan Cole felt the vibration through the floor. He knew what it meant. This station won't survive that, he said quietly. The Dragon Mother lowered her head close to him. Her breath was warm, shaking. The Father Dragon growled, his damaged body tense, ready to die, fighting if needed. The Dragon Child looked up at Ethan. He did not understand beams or fleets. He understood one thing. The human had not left. Ethan slowly stood up and turned toward the dragons. They won't stop, he said. Not now. The Dragon Mother released a low, broken sound. Not anger. Pain. She could shield her child. She could shield her mate. But not from this. Ethan took a deep breath. Then he made his choice. I can draw their fire, he said. Both dragons snapped their heads toward him. No, Ethan continued, voice firm. They want me. I step out, they focus on me. The dragon father slammed his tail against the floor, furious. The mother dragon blocked Ethan's path with her wing. Ethan gently placed his hand against her scales. They already crossed the line, he said. Let me finish this part. The dragon child cried out and wrapped his small claws around Ethan's leg. Ethan knelt and looked into the child's eyes. You were brave, he said softly. Never forget that. Outside the station, the commander raised his hand. Fire. The beam ignited. A line of white energy tore through space, racing toward K-17. Inside the station, Ethan activated his comm one last time. This is Ethan Cole, he said. I'm stepping outside the station. I am unarmed. Some officers shouted. Some begged. The commander said nothing. Ethan walked toward the broken airlock. The dragons followed him as far as they could. At the door, Ethan stopped. He turned back one last time. Thank you, he said. Then he stepped into open space. The vacuum wrapped around him instantly. His suit screamed warnings. The stars felt too close. The beam changed direction. Locked on him. Inside the station, the Dragon Mother screamed. A sound so full of grief, it shook sensors across the fleet. The Dragon Father roared and unleashed fire that melted half the docking bay. The Dragon Child watched through the shattered viewport. He saw the human, small against the light. Standing, not running. The beam struck. Light swallowed everything. For one terrible second, the galaxy believed the story was over. Then the sensors went wild. Energy spiked. Gravity twisted. Something intercepted the beam. The Dragon Mother had moved. She had launched herself into space, wings spread wide, placing her massive body between the weapon and the human. Fire wrapped around her like armor. The beam hit her chest. She did not scream. She burned. The Dragon Father followed, roaring in fury, adding his own fire to hers. Two ancient beings, wounded and furious, pushing back against a weapon meant to kill worlds. Inside the fleet, panic exploded. That's impossible. They're resisting the beam. Ethan floated behind them, stunned. The dragons were dying. For him. No, he whispered. The Dragon Child's scream echoed through every channel. Something broke. Deep inside the Dragon Child, something ancient woke up. His small body glowed. Scales hardened. Eyes burned bright gold. Power surged outward, raw and uncontrolled. The beam faltered. Then it failed. The weapon shut down with a violent surge, systems burning out across the fleet. Silence returned. The dragons drifted in space, barely conscious. Ethan moved fast, grabbing onto the Dragon Mother's scales, activating emergency thrusters to pull them back toward the station. The fleet stared. Their ultimate weapon had failed, because a human had stepped out, and dragons had followed. Inside the station, Ethan collapsed beside the dragon family. All of them alive. Barely. Outside, the commander stared at the screen, pale and shaking. This was a mistake, he whispered. Yes, it was. And the galaxy was about to pay for it. The child the galaxy should have feared. The station was quiet. Not peaceful, just shocked. Metal still glowed from melted wounds. Smoke drifted through broken halls. Emergency lights blinked like tired eyes. In the center of the cargo bay, the dragon family lay together. The mother dragon breathed slowly, each breath heavy and painful. Her scales were cracked and burned deep, still glowing faint red. The father dragon was worse. His chest rose unevenly, his fire almost gone. Between them sat the dragon child. He was no longer small, not fully grown, but changed. His scales had turned bright and sharp. Light pulsed under them like a living heart. His eyes were no longer soft. They were ancient. Ethan Cole watched from a few steps away, barely standing. His suit was torn, warnings screaming in his ears, but he ignored them. "What did you do?" he whispered. The dragon child looked at him and answered, not with words, but with feeling. Images filled Ethan's mind. Pain, fear, loss, and something deeper, memory. Dragons were not born powerful. They became powerful when pushed to protect what they loved. Outside the station, the fleet was in chaos. Half their systems were burned out. The planet killer weapon was dead. Command ships argued, shouted, blamed. They resisted the beam. "That's not possible." The commander stood silent, staring at one screen. It showed the dragon child. Energy readings around him were rising. Fast. "This changes everything," the commander said slowly. "That child, he's not normal." A scientist swallowed. "Sir, that child is what the old texts warned about." "The first flame," another whispered. "A dragon born in fear. Awakened by sacrifice. A dragon who could burn fleets." Inside the station, the dragon father forced himself upright. He looked at his child with pride and fear. The mother dragon did the same. They knew the truth. Their child had crossed a line that could never be undone. Ethan stepped forward carefully. "They'll come again," he said. "And next time, they won't hesitate." The dragon child turned his head toward the stars. He could feel them. Weapons charging. Fear growing. The galaxy was not done. A new signal appeared on every screen. Not a weapon. A broadcast. The Galactic Council. Ancient figures filled the displays, their faces cold and tired. "This conflict ends now," the council speaker said. "Human Ethan Cole, you will be taken into custody. The dragons will be contained." The dragon child's power flared. The station shook. "No," Ethan said firmly. "You won't touch them." The speaker smiled thinly. "You have no authority." Ethan straightened despite the pain. "You're wrong," he said. "You just gave it to me." He activated his suit recorder. Across the galaxy, screens flickered. Humans, aliens, colonies. They all saw it. The footage. A human kneeling before dragons. Dragons shielding a human from a planet killer weapon. The dragon mother burning to protect him. The child awakening. Gasps spread faster than fear ever had. "This is what you tried to erase," Ethan said. "This is what you call monsters." The council shouted to cut the feed. It was too late. The galaxy was watching. On distant worlds, humans stood. Workers, soldiers, pilots. They recognized the moment. A line had been crossed. Inside the fleet, officers hesitated again. Some power-down weapons. Some refused orders. The dragon child rose to his full height. Energy wrapped around him like a crown of fire. He looked at Ethan. A question. Ethan answered without fear. "Choose," he said. The child turned his gaze toward the fleet. Not in rage, in warning. A wave of heat rolled outward, not destroying, not killing. Just enough. Fleet shield screamed. Hulls warped. Systems failed. The message was clear. "I can end this." The commander's voice shook. "Stand down, all ships." One by one, they did. The dragon child's power faded slightly. But the galaxy would never forget it. The council screen went dark. They had lost control. Inside the station, Ethan finally collapsed to one knee. The dragon mother lowered her head and touched him gently. The dragon father bowed again. This time, deeper. Not to a warrior, to a protector. And far across the stars, whispers spread like fire. Humans had returned to the old path, the one where they stood with the forgotten. And the galaxy began to understand a terrible truth. It was never the dragons they should have feared. It was what happened when humans decided to stay. When the galaxy remembered humanity. The galaxy went quiet. Not because of peace. Because no one knew what to do next. The fleet floated in broken formation. Weapons were powered down. Command lines were silent. Orders no longer mattered. Inside the ruined station, the dragon child stood tall, firelight fading slowly from his scales. The power he had shown was gone, for now. But the memory of it remained. Ethan Cole knelt on the metal floor, breathing hard. His body hurt everywhere. His suit was barely holding together. Yet he was alive. The dragon mother moved first. With great effort, she lifted herself and stepped forward. Each step shook the station. She lowered her massive head until it touched the floor in front of Ethan. A full bow. The dragon father followed. Despite his wounds, he straightened and bowed as well, slow, deep, and final. Not as equals, but in honor. Ethan looked up, stunned. "You don't have to," he said quietly. The dragon mother spoke, not in fire, not in words, but in clear meaning that filled the room. "You stood when all others left." The dragon child walked forward and placed one claw gently on Ethan's shoulder. A bond was formed, not written, not spoken, but real. Across the galaxy, the broadcast was still spreading. World after world saw the truth. Not edited, not controlled. A human standing alone. Dragons protecting him. A child awakening to save his family. On human colonies, people stopped what they were doing. In factories, on farms, on distant ships, they remembered who they were. Not conquerors, not rulers, but the ones who stayed. The Galactic Council tried to speak again. Their signal flickered to life. "You have destabilized galactic order," the speaker said, voice tight. "This alliance cannot be allowed." Ethan stood slowly. "You already allowed it," he replied. "When you fire that weapon." The speaker sneered. "You are one human." Ethan nodded. "Yes," he said, "and I was enough." Behind him, the dragon family rose. The dragon child stepped forward, eyes glowing faint gold. For the first time, he spoke in clear words, simple but heavy. "We remember," the child said. The council froze. "We remember humans," the child continued. "You stood beside us. You bled with us. You did not run." The speaker's voice cracked. "This is manipulation." The dragon father growled low. "No," Ethan said calmly. "This is consequence." Around the fleet, something changed. Human ships moved, not forward, not aggressive, but closer. They formed a line between the dragons and the rest of the galaxy. Other species hesitated. Some pulled back. Some followed. Fear shifted direction. The council screens went dark one by one. They had lost authority, not to force, but to truth. Days later, the station was repaired enough to survive. Medical ships arrived, human ships. They brought aid, not chains. The dragon mother healed slowly. The father dragon recovered. The child learned control. Ethan refused medals, refused command. He stayed. Someone asked him why. He answered simply, "Because they would have stayed for us." A new agreement formed, not written in law, but in trust. Dragons would no longer be weapons. Humans would no longer walk away. The galaxy adjusted. Some hated it, some feared it, but all respected it. Years later, children across many worlds would learn this moment, not as a battle, but as a choice. They would learn that the galaxy did not change because of power. It changed because one human stepped forward, and others remembered how to stand. The dragon child would grow into a legend, not of destruction, but of balance. And Ethan Cole, he would fade into history, just another human. But whenever the story was told, it always ended the same way. When everyone stepped back, one human stepped forward, and the galaxy never forgot what happened next.